On May 7, 1982, the Baltimore Colts arrived at the Owings Mills Training Complex to begin preparations for the coming season, to be tested and evaluated by a new coaching staff led by a new head coach, Frank Kush. A proven winner for over 23 years, Frank Kush got his first look at his new team.
Basically, they're very competent football players, otherwise they would not be in an NFL organization as the Baltimore Colts or anyone. I think once you start losing, it perpetuates yourself, and it's just like winning. Winning will breed winning, and losing breeds losing. And evaluating the film that I looked at last year in the early part of the season, they were not that bad of a football team. Then once they begin to lose, they got to the point where, you know, they lost their desire, which I think is the most important factor in football. And we have to change their attitude, and we have to change it to a winning attitude. And there's no magic to it. We're going to have to check it out from month to month, physically, how much progress they have made. And if they have made progress, that means they are changing their attitude. They want to win, they're going to pay the price to win. And once they see the accomplishments that they have from within themselves, then I think the self-motivation takes over. But somewhere along the line, this is why I assume that Frank Kush is here at Baltimore Colts, is to turn that attitude factor around, which I feel is extremely important. And this is the process that we're doing now.
The purpose of the mini-camp, to evaluate the physical condition and capabilities of all Colt athletes and to determine their level of motivation. Of the 96 players who reported in May, less than half will suit up on opening day in September. Through a painful process of elimination, 51 players must go.
Well, I think it's a gradual process. I think by indoctrinating the people into the type of a program that you want. I'm talking about making sure that they go through the various physical factors, which I think is the key to it first.
Go! That's it. Perfect.
And then once they develop that and they see the success that they're going to have because of the effort, then I feel that, you know, that other aspect of desire takes over from the standpoint of them wanting to do it because they are successful.
Under Frank Kush, the Colts are building the spirit that builds a winner. And the city of Baltimore can anticipate a new era in Colt football. Opening day 1981, the Baltimore Colts traveled to New England to take on the favored Patriots. The Colts' goal to become competitive appeared within reach, and they got off to a promising start. An aggressive defense earned Baltimore strong field position, and Curtis Dickey, number 27, ran the Colts to an early lead. Dickey then gave way to a rookie running back, Randy McMillan, number 32. With 146 yards and 2 scores, McMillan was named the NFL's Player of the Week. His final touchdown gave the Colts the edge, and Baltimore had their first win of the young season. But win number 2 was a long time coming. Hopes for a successful season were dashed in the coming weeks. It has been said that there are some defeats more triumphant than victories. This did not hold true for the Baltimore Colts, who embarked on the longest losing streak in team history, 14 games. Opponents feasted on the Colt defense, a unit that allowed more yards, more touchdowns, and more points than any team in NFL history. Never before had the Colts' fortune sunk so low. If lessons are learned in defeat, then the Baltimore Colts got a great education. But new head coach Frank Kush does not like being around losers, and he will not permit a defeatist attitude to creep into 1982. He is fully prepared to turn that horseshoe right side up.
I think if the Baltimore Colts are going to be successful next year, we have to certainly make a great deal of progress on defense. We have some limitations over there. We drafted some quality football players. There's a great opportunity at the linebacker spot, the middle guard spots, since we're changing the defensive structure from a 4-3 to a 3-4. It'll give a number of individuals opportunities as well as our linebackers. And I think if we can develop some what I call overall football character on defense, I'm talking about that aggressiveness and the entire bit at the linebacker spots, at the defensive down people, then I think we could have a pretty good football team.
Defensively, the Colts have their share of gifted athletes, but too often they could not sustain their energy and their level of motivation through 4 quarters of football. The secondary appeared to be the weakest link, but much of their trouble stemmed from a defensive line that put too little pressure on opposing quarterbacks, allowing them far too much time to throw. But this is a very young secondary. 3rd-round draft pick James Burrows will compete for one of the cornerback spots. And Nesby Glasgow, Larry Brazil, Derek Hatchett, and Kim Anderson have but 10 years' experience among them. A young defense needs veteran leadership, and that leadership must be provided by proven performers like 11-year tackle Herb Orvis and 7-year linebacker Ed Simonetti, who was injured for most of last season. Raw talent is important on defense, but the most important factor is the want to, the willingness to sacrifice to get to the football, and for the unit to develop stronger team unity and consistency. When this happens, the anticipation of success will be enhanced in 1982. In the midst of the long march toward season's end, the Colts' frustration was eased by one of the most bizarre scoring plays in league history.
Landry, there it is. The kick is blocked. And Landry tried to recover. It rolls free. The Colts have it. And it's going to be pulled out of bounds at the lateral of the round. Now here's Landry. Landry to the 5. Landry is going in for a touchdown.
That's the wildest play in the history of the league.
They played volleyball. Boy, I'll tell you, if they worked on that play, they all have their master's degree.
Ironically, the man who scored the touchdown is the only Colt with a master's degree, quarterback Greg Landry, number 11. Landry's extensive knowledge of the game and his 14 years of NFL experience will be invaluable to the younger quarterbacks the Colts acquired through the college draft. One of those quarterbacks is Art Schlichter, who, like all Colts, will go back to basics under Frank Kush.
Well, I think Art Schlichter, you know, there's a lot of pros and cons about Art as far as his ability and everything else, but I have seen him play a number of times. He's a winner, and I'm sure he's going to continue to be a winner.
In his 4 seasons at Ohio State University, Art Schlichter became the most prolific passer in school history. And during his years in Columbus, the Buckeyes won 2 Big Ten titles and made 4 bowl appearances. In addition to his passing prowess, Schlichter ran for over 1,000 yards and scored 35 touchdowns. And following his senior season, he was selected most valuable player in the Olympia Gold Bowl, an all-star game set aside for blue-chip pro prospects. Yes, Art Schlichter is a winner. He has never played on a losing team in his life. The Colts then chose another quarterback on the 4th round of the draft.
Some of these things will be
He is Mike Pagel, the record-breaking passer from Arizona State University. One of the top quarterbacks in the Pac-10 conference in past years, Pagel threw a record 137 passes without an interception as a junior. and threw 7 touchdown passes in a single game as a senior. Frank Kush knows Mike Pagel well. He recruited him for the Sun Devils.
Mike Pagel is a gifted athlete, quite a leader, has a strong arm, does a lot of things extremely well, and I think it's a great position that we're in, that we have 2 very competent quarterbacks in both Pagel and Schleister. It should be very interesting, and I think the competition will be great fun.
There will be plenty of competition on defense as well. Enter the Colts' #1 draft pick, Johnny Cooks. A consensus All-American from Mississippi State, Cooks was the highest-rated linebacker in the country.
Well, I think Johnny Cooks, in evaluating all the linebackers, was certainly impressed with his aggressiveness and his ability to go to the ball, which I think is extremely important. He has that instinct that I don't think you teach as a coach. It's a natural type of thing that he's able to respond without a great deal of direction.
Johnny Cooks, who once made 24 solo tackles in a single game, helped turn the Mississippi State program around. His leadership qualities will be complemented by the Colts' first pick on the 2nd round, nose tackle Leo Wisniewski.
Wisniewski, to me, is a football player. I recruited him in high school. I knew a little bit about him. He went to Penn State, did a remarkable job. He has what I call football character, meaning he's a team man. He's going to give his utmost. He's always well prepared. He's a leader. He'll be around the league for many, many years because of his football character.
All told, the Colts drafted 7 offensive players, 6 defenders, and a punter, Ron Stark from Florida State, who passed up on a possible Olympic decathlon berth to sign with the Colts.
Ron Stark had written to us and said that he was definitely interested in wanting to play football and hoping he was going to be drafted. And I felt that Ron, being the type of a punter that you're always looking for, certainly could make the difference in a ball game. I think he's not only a offensive weapon, but he's an extremely great defensive weapon, giving a young defensive ball club that we will have great field position every now and then, and let them have that poise and confidence they could do the things that are natural to them.
Ron Stark and 13 other draft picks are eager to give the Colts a competitive punch.
What I want out of this ball club more than anything else is improvement. Improvement from practice to practice, and the games will take care of themselves. And then hopefully that we go into it with the idea that we can go into every ball game with the opportunity to win and having a chance to win, and then give it our best effort. And I think that's the most important factor as far as I'm concerned in seeing the progress of this ball club.
By the final week of the 1981 season, the losing streak had reached 14 games. And while there were those who gave up, the Colts refused to give up on themselves and closed out the season with a 23-21 win over the Patriots.
And Curtis Dickey are the setbacks. Back to throw on 3rd and 3, looking to his right, fires into the end zone. Touchdown, Don McCauley, and what a grab he made. Burke is wide right, the other way Butler. He wants to throw, looking left, firing to the left side. Here's Raymond Butler, got him. Down to the Patriot 20, to the 15, 10 to the 5, and he's in for the touchdown. Butler has scored. And he leads his receiver, Butler. He's got it to 15, on his feet to the 10. He'll go walking in for the touchdown.
Butler's having a kind of an all-pro day today.
One man who really has done a whale of a job for Baltimore all year is the fellow who just scored the touchdown.
Indeed, Raymond Butler provided his share of magic moments during an otherwise dismal year in Baltimore. Butler was one of the bright spots, and he reflects much of the promise of the Colts' future. In 1980, his first season in Baltimore, Butler had the best season of any rookie receiver in Colts history. In his second season, he took steps toward becoming one of the NFL's premier wide receivers. Raymond Butler's speed, moves, hands, and concentration have helped him to 80 career receptions, most ever by a Colt in his first 2 seasons. And number 80's 9 touchdown catches were the most since teammate Roger Carr grabbed 11 in 1976. The Colts have enjoyed a proud tradition of outstanding receivers, from Raymond Berry and Jimmy Orr through John Mackey and Willie Richardson. Now, Raymond Butler is prepared to take his place among that elite group. As the Colts look to return to their winning ways, Raymond Butler will surely become a fixed star. Opposite Butler is a man who has been a fixture on the Colts offense for 8 years. The other wide receiver, Roger Carr. In 1981, Roger Carr moved into 7th place on the Colts' all-time pass-catching list, behind teammate Don McCauley, and enhanced his position on the receiving yardage standings, 5th, right behind John Mackey.
Offensively, I think there's a lot of quality football players here. Yes, we may have problems in the early portion of the season with a young quarterback, but again, they are quality people, and we're hoping that we will put the burden on the other individuals, the running backs, the receivers, and the line, in contrast to saying it's a quarterback team, or if it's going to lose, it's because of the quarterbacks. That is something that I feel that this organization certainly does not need. With the people we do have coming in, I feel that potentially we can have a respectable ball club.
Respectability is something Zachary Dixon has struggled for, then earned in his first full season as a Colt. Number 31 has run through many obstacles, working his way onto a pro roster. Though his longest return of the year was called back, he led the team in kickoff returns and was the Colts' most versatile performer overall, as a runner, receiver, and a valued contributor to the special teams. After trials with the Broncos, Eagles, and Giants, Dixon has found a home in Baltimore, and his persistence has paid off. While the Colts picked Zachary Dixon off the waiver wire, they picked another running back directly off the college campus. Their number 1 pick, number 32, Randy McMillan. At 6'1", 226 pounds, Randy McMillan has run a 4.6 40-yard dash, a time that makes him the fastest fullback in the league. With power to take it up the middle and the speed to get outside, McMillan made everyone's all-rookie team. Randy McMillan rushed for nearly 600 yards and caught 50 passes for another 466 yards. The Colts' investment in Randy McMillan paid off handsomely for over 1,000 total yards. While McMillan may be the fastest big back in the NFL, his running mate is the fastest back, period. Indeed, Curtis Dickey is the fastest man ever to play in the NFL. Dickey does more than just run. He flows. And more often than not, the flow becomes a flood, and his speed can turn an ordinary run into a masterpiece. With a simple dip of his shoulders, Dickey accelerates into the secondary, then kicks into overdrive. Running and receiving, Curtis Dickey had his second straight 1,000-yard year. At 6'1", 205 pounds, Dickey is a mix of grace and grit. For Curtis Dickey, the flow comes naturally. For the '82 Baltimore Colts, the flow won't come that easy.
Well, I think the biggest obstacle that we're going to be confronted with is being patient and developing a very sound football team. I think this is the most important factor from the standpoint of not expecting too much too soon. And I think if we go into it with that attitude, there's no question in my mind that this will be a successful program.
With patience, hard work, and a rededication to the game, there is a great deal to look forward to in 1982. The anticipation of a new and exciting era in Baltimore Colt football.